introduction, you tap your feet 3 times. And then we're going to go into this verse, which I'm going to show you right now. We'll tie it in together, so don't worry. So in the verse he's saying, he goes like this. The majority of the song goes like this. Got up this morning, I've been gear around for my shoes. You know about I had these old walking blues, love. And basically what he's doing here, it's imperative that you have the right hand positioned like how I showed you earlier in the video. What you're kind of doing though with the outer lining of your hand is you're kind of palm muting, resting your hand on the strings, so you produce a kind of dead, muffled technique. And that's the very nature, the very basic of the dead thumb technique. Is basically you're stopping the strings from sounding out completely. You kind of give them that abrupt cut, basically deadening out the strings. It's called the dead thumb. And the thumb is free, like how I showed you earlier, to pulsate that monotonic bass tone. And this is going to be driving basically the entire verse. Okay, and so that basically is the verse, and I'm going to show you what he's playing. So in this verse, it's kind of like a hybrid off of the introduction. This part where I showed you, basically it's the same concept. You're locating the 3rd and 4th fret, you're making this slide, and then you play the open string on the 4th string. It's just that you're not playing this. You're just playing the first part of that. And so in the song he goes like this. Get around this morning, get around for my shoes. Knowing about I had these old walking blues, love. So, in a way you're palm muting and you're stopping it. Look at my index finger. I'm kind of stopping the strings from ringing out completely. It's this kind of muffled technique. You don't want to ring it out completely. So when he plays this, he's just playing the 4th string open. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty simple technique, but very complicated to implement it into the song. So what he does is he does 4 verses of this. So he goes, get around this morning, get around for my shoes, knowing about I had these old walking blues, Lord. In the end you can just play walking blues, Lord. So I'll go a little slower here. Get around this morning, get around for my shoes, knowing about I had these old walking blues. Notice how my left hand is kind of, you got the palm muting here, the hand position to hover above the 5th and 4th strings, so you produce that muffled tone. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I've pretty much laid it out for you as simple as possible. So now let's go back to that introductory part and find the transition into this portion. So the introduction ended like this. 1, 2, 3. Get around this morning. Get around for my shoes. See, what I did is I took care of this dead time, this transitionary piece in between the introduction and the verse, and I dissolved it by tapping my foot 3 times. So it's 2, 3. Get around this morning, baby. Get around for my shoes. No, I'm bad, I had these old. And again, I'll do it again. Slower. 1, 2, 3. It's all about getting the foot tap in there. And it serves like a metronome for you. So I've covered the introduction, the verse, and that dead time, that transition into the verse coming out of the introduction. So when he does 4 verses of the walking blues, he does 4 verses like this. Get around this morning, baby. Get around for my shoes. No, I'm glad I had these old walking blues. Oh, get around the morning, baby. Get around, go for my shoes. And that's what we're going to go over here next. So maintaining the same concepts in the right hand with the palm muting, the dead thumb technique. After you play this verse, you then go to the 5th string on the 5th fret and you slide that with a little bit of emphasis, and you'll be like this. And what you want to do is, by leading into that 5th string on the 5th fret, you start from the 3rd fret, 5th string, this ascent. And you're just picking it out with your thumb. The thumb is going to be just striking the 5th string. And you just go back between the 3rd and 5th fret. And here is how we'll play after the verse. So it's like, oh, walking blues, Lord, get around in the morning, baby, get around for my shoes. So in that instance, he does 3 measures 3 times, where he's going to play from this 3rd to the 5th fret. Get around in the morning, baby, get around, oh, for my shoes. And we'll go over that lick one more time. So so I'll go a little bit slower on that portion again. Get around in the morning, baby, get around, oh, for my shoes. So very simple concept indeed. But you want to put a little bit more emphasis into the slide. Now it's also laid out for you in the tablature as well. So when he does that 3 times, get around for my shoes, he plays this lick. And he plays that twice, and we're going to go over that here. So when he plays this, get around in the morning, baby, get around, oh, for my shoes. So when he gets to that part, oh, for my shoes, oh, for my shoes, what he's doing is he plays an open stroke like this, 1 from the 5th string down. And you're just going to play the 5th and 4th string in this vicinity. You don't want to strum it all the way down. It's just 5th string to the 4th string. And then the next chord is going to be this slide that starts on the beginning of the 3rd fret to the end of the 3rd fret, and you're going to be like this. And again in the same vicinity on the 5th string and the 4th string. 1, 2. So 1, then open again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then the 4th note is just going to be the bottom string on the 5th fret. And with your index finger or middle finger, you're just going to pick it out, pluck it, and really ring it with the slide, like this. So all together it's like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So after he plays this, you play again 2 open strokes, or I like to do it like this. So after he plays this, what you can do for a better rhythm sense is just hit your guitar once, then play 2 strokes, like open strokes. So it's like this. All together it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then he plays that twice. So all together it's like this. Get around in the morning, baby. Get around. Oh, for my shoes. Plays that twice. And it's very similar to like a Death Letter Blues by Son House. So you could tell that there was influence there in his music. So with that slide, which goes like this, after he plays that twice, he'll go back into this kind of discipline. When I got up this morning, baby, you're around. And that's what we're going to go over here. So after he plays this, but I got up this morning, ooh, this walk. And that's the what would be the 5-chord portion. And what you're doing is just going back to that 5th fret again on the 5th string. But I must have had these to the 7th fret now, 5th string. But I must have had these. Oh, oh, wow. And that's what we're going to go over here. So it's like, but I must have had these. So it's, you start on the 5th string, 5th fret, but I must have had these. Now to the 7th fret, 5th string, and back to the 5th string, 5th fret. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then what he does here is at that end portion is this kind of relaxed slide from the 7th to the 3rd fret. So it's, but I must have had these. Oh, wow. Fifth fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 3rd fret, open. And it's also laid out for you the tablature, so it's like, but I must have had these. Ooh, oh, walking blues. Oh, walking blues. And then he plays that lick again. So after that, so we'll play it from the from that original verse, which goes, "Gear up this morning now, baby. Gear around for my shoes. Knowing about I have these old walking blues, love. Gear around this morning, baby. Gear around, oh, for my shoes." Play that lick twice again. So after he plays it, well, get around this morning if I had to. My lonesome home, light up my morning, I find my birdies gone low. Up in the morning, baby, I had to, or rather blind. And he repeats that verse over and over again. So basically the whole song, there are four portions of the lyrics, is just basically repeating what we went over. This portion, then this portion, itself in cycles, and you'll hear it in the recording. So I've really gone over the predominant features that appear in the song. Mainly what you have to master is just this discipline that's based in the bass strings, and you have to apply that and keep yourself in rhythm, because it's easy to lose yourself. That's why I highly recommend tapping your foot, so it can aid as a kind of metronome for you. So when he plays this at the end, well, gear is more if I had to, all right, blind, I've been mistreated, I throw my dime. And so on and so on. So you repeat those verses again. So there is also a portion in the song where he, instead of playing this, he actually ends up playing this. So what he's doing in this portion is by doing that, he's fretting on the 5th fret, he's fretting with his index finger from the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. He's always going to keep that there. It's going to be pressed on there the whole time, and with your pinky, you're going to be playing basically alternating on the bottom string only between the 7th and 8th fret, bottom string. Your index finger is going to be barred on the 5th fret the whole time, and with your pinky finger you're going to play. And that's something that he plays in the song. So it's like, she got an Elgin woman now, from her head down to her toes. By doing that with this positioning, he's just fretting it, and it's a series of 1 on the first note is on the pinky finger is going to be played. The pinky finger is going to play over the 8th fret bottom string, 1, and then you slide over. The next note is going to be on the 7th fret bottom string, 1, 2, and then open, 1, 2, open. So when he plays this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you want to play this 3 strokes of the open string like this. Very easy. And then when he goes deeper into that verse, he'll just go like this on the 7th fret and 10th and 9th fret. And then he goes back to the 5th fret. And that's an alternate break within the song that he uses that's pretty clear in the original recording, and is something that I have to bring to your attention. It's also laid out for you in the tablature as well. So he uses that basically one time in the song. It's towards the end of the song. But for the most part, everything else is repeated and is pretty much the same. So taken from the beginning of the introduction, let's just go over it from front to finish. I'm going to go really slow, and I'm just going to cap off everything that we've learned today. So starting from the beginning, I'm going to go over from the beginning, from the introduction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get around this morning, baby. Get around for my shoes. Knowing about I had these old walking blues, Lord. Get around this morning, baby. Get around, for my shoes. But you know that I had these walking blues. Well, get around this morning if I had to. All right, the blind. I've been mistreated, honey. I don't mind dying. I leave this morning. I had to ride the line. All right, baby, I've been mistreated. Baby, I don't mind dying. And then over and over again, you repeat that. So the ending of the song just goes like this. It's is just the same concept in the introduction. The very simple thing at the very end that you'll hear in the original recording. But for the most part, it's a very simple song as far as what's being played, but a very challenging and complex, because so much is resting upon the dictation of the bass notes, and it's imperative that you keep yourself in the rhythm and in timing. Using your foot as a metronome is also a very useful tool, but it's about your application of these bass notes that's going to make and break the song and keep you ultimately in rhythm the whole time. And it's a pretty fun song to play, especially when you utilize this. It gives it a little bit more depth, and that's something that I find very cool that Robert Johnson is using. So if you do want to play along with the original recording, you do need to take the capo and put it on the 4th fret and just apply everything that we've learned in this tutorial for your purposes. But for the most part, again, once you have the right hand technique in position, you'll be able to, put it in a pretty good use of application. And I feel that I've broken down this song as best as I could. Everything else is laid out for you in the tablature, which is neat, but it's surely about application. If there's any questions, don't hesitate to email me, and I am going to sign off on this lesson, broken down everything that I've needed to, simple concepts, but weighed heavily on your use of applying in rhythm the bass accompaniment. So my name is Delta Lou, and I'm going to sign off, so thank you.